The savannah, once teeming with life, now stood silent, choked by an unforgiving sun. Where herds of antelope once grazed and birds filled the air with song, there was now only a heavy, oppressive stillness. The grass, once a sea of gold, had faded to brittle straw, crunching underfoot. Trees, their branches stripped bare, reached skyward like desperate hands, pleading for rain that never came. The air shimmered with heat, and the horizon seemed to waver, as if the land itself was sighing in exhaustion. Dust devils danced in the heat haze, almost mocking the thirsty land. They twisted and spun across the plains, lifting loose soil into the air, painting the sky with a veil of dust. Each swirling column was a reminder of the relentless drought, a cruel spectacle in a place where every drop of moisture was precious. The wind carried the dust far and wide, settling on the backs of animals and the leaves of withered shrubs, leaving nothing untouched by the drought's reach. Waterholes, once overflowing, were now just cracked earth, echoing the emptiness in the bellies of the savannah's children. The ground bore the footprints of desperate animals, circling the dry basins in search of relief. The mud had long since hardened, splitting into jagged patterns that told the story of countless days without rain. Even the riverbeds, which once pulsed with life, had become nothing more than scars across the landscape, reminders of what had been lost. The lifeblood of the land had slowed to a trickle, and with it, the rhythm of survival had become a desperate struggle. Animals gathered at the last remaining puddles, jostling for a sip of muddy water. The weak were pushed aside, and the strong drank quickly, always wary of lurking predators. Even the smallest streams, once alive with frogs and insects, now barely moved, their banks lined with the tracks of those who came and left in disappointment. The lion pride, once strong and vibrant, was now a shadow of its former glory. Their bodies, lean and gaunt, bore the marks of hunger and exhaustion. Once, they ruled these plains with confidence, but now every movement was measured, every hunt a gamble. The pride huddled together beneath the scant shade, their eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of hope, a distant herd, a promise of rain, anything to break the cycle of thirst. The lionesses, their once sleek coats now dull and matted, struggled to nourish their cubs. Each day was a test of endurance as they searched for food and water to sustain their young. The cubs, too weak to play, clung to their mothers, their cries muffled by the dry wind. The bond between mother and cub was strong, but even that was tested by the harshness of the drought. Every meal was hard-won, and every night brought new uncertainty. The once mighty roar of the alpha male, now reduced to a raspy growl, spoke of the uncertainty that gripped the pride. His mane, once thick and lustrous, was now caked with dust, and his eyes held a wary, haunted look. Each breath was labored, each step heavy. The pride looked to him for strength, but even the king of the savannah was not immune to the drought's cruel hand. His voice, once a symbol of power, now echoed the fear and doubt that had settled over the land. The drought had stripped the savannah bare, leaving behind a haunting silence, broken only by the whisper of the wind, carrying with it the scent of desperation. As the sun dipped below the horizon, the land was bathed in a harsh orange glow, casting long shadows over the cracked earth. Vultures circled overhead, waiting patiently for the next victim of the drought. In this quiet, the savannah mourned, her tears invisible but her suffering impossible to ignore. It was during these trying times that a stranger ventured into their territory. A tiger, a magnificent male, with stripes like shadows and eyes like burning embers. Driven by the same hunger that gnawed at the pride, he was an outsider, a trespasser in the lion's domain. Amongst the lionesses there were some ostracized and ambitious who saw in the tiger not a threat, but an opportunity. These lionesses, tired of their low rank in the pride, yearned for power, for a chance to change their fate. They approached the tiger under the cloak of darkness, their fear masked by their hunger. A pact was made, a bond forged in desperation, a secret alliance against the natural order. The tiger, with his unmatched agility and powerful rippling build, possessed a raw strength that the lionesses simply did not have. His presence among them was both awe-inspiring and unsettling, a solitary force of nature now woven into the fabric of the pride. Every muscle in his body seemed to promise explosive action, and his amber eyes missed nothing, scanning the horizon for opportunity. The lionesses, though wary, recognized the advantage he brought. In these harsh times when the sun scorched the earth and prey grew scarce, survival demanded adaptation, even alliances that defied the natural order. With his immense power, the tiger could bring down larger prey, massive buffalo, sturdy zebra, and even the occasional wildebeest. Animals that the pride, weakened by hunger and drought, would have struggled to tackle alone. His hunting style was different, silent, patient, and devastatingly effective. The lionesses watched, learning from his solitary tactics, while he, in turn, observed their coordinated maneuvers. Together they formed a hunting force greater than the sum of its parts. The lionesses, in turn, were the true daughters of the savannah. They knew every inch of the land, the secret watering holes hidden beneath acacia trees, the winding trails carved by generations of migrating herds, the subtle shifts in the wind that signaled the approach of prey. Their knowledge was hard-won, passed down through countless hunts and close calls. They moved with purpose, their senses attuned to the rhythms of the wild. They had the numbers, the strategic cunning that came from hunting as a pack. Each lioness played her part, communicating with subtle glances and flicks of the tail. Their unity was their strength, allowing them to outmaneuver even the most elusive prey. The tiger, used to hunting alone, was at first an outsider to this silent language, but necessity forced him to adapt, to learn the ways of the pride. Their first hunt together was a symphony of chaos and precision, a breathtaking display of both raw power and calculated teamwork. The savannah, usually a place of competition and rivalry, became the stage for an unprecedented alliance. The lionesses fanned out, their golden coats blending with the tall grass, while the tiger circled wide, positioning himself for the perfect ambush. Every movement was charged with tension, every heartbeat echoing the uncertainty of this new partnership. The lionesses, swift and silent, drove a panicked herd of zebra towards the waiting tiger. Their coordination was flawless, each lioness anticipating the other's moves, funneling the prey exactly where they wanted. The zebra, sensing danger but unable to see the full threat, thundered across the plain, hooves kicking up clouds of dust. Then, in a heartbeat, the tiger exploded from the bushes, a blur of muscle, claw, and primal energy. The air filled with the sounds of the hunt, the desperate snorts of the zebra, the roars of the predators, the pounding of hooves and paws. In a flurry of dust and chaos, the hunt was over almost as soon as it began. The pride had succeeded, and the savannah fell silent once more. The alliance, unnatural as it was, had proven successful. For a brief moment the boundaries between species blurred, united by the shared struggle for survival. As the sun set over the parched grasslands, the tiger and the lionesses rested side by side, their bellies full, their future uncertain, but for now, secure. In the shadow of the drought, even the wildest of rivals could find common ground. The secret weighed heavy on the lionesses. Every stolen glance, every hushed conversation under the cover of darkness, was a risk. They knew the consequences of discovery, the wrath of the pride leader, the exile that awaited traitors. They marked their territory with the tiger's scent, a subtle rebellion hidden in plain sight. The tiger, cautious of his unfamiliar surroundings, learned to navigate the pride's territory, leaving his mark discreetly, a silent testament to the pact. They hunted at the edges of the territory, returning with full bellies and a story that explained the tiger's scent, a story of chance encounters and territorial skirmishes, a story that grew thinner with each telling. The alpha male, weakened by hunger but not blind to the changes within his pride, grew suspicious. He noticed the unfamiliar scent that lingered on his lionesses, the scent of a rival predator. He saw the confidence in the eyes of the outcast lionesses, a confidence that did not sit well with him. He began to follow them, his keen senses alert for any sign of betrayal. He found the remains of their hunts, the kills too large, the scent of the tiger too strong to be ignored. The truth, like a bitter taste in his mouth, was impossible to deny. His pride, his lionesses, were conspiring with a sworn enemy, and the savannah's law demanded retribution. The trap was set at dusk, the golden light of the setting sun painting long shadows across the parched land. The lionesses, led by the most ambitious amongst them, lured the alpha male and his loyal followers towards a watering hole, a place where the tiger lay in wait. The alpha male, sensing no danger, approached the water, his thirst overriding his suspicion. The lionesses tensed, their eyes darting between the alpha and the spot where the tiger was hidden. This was the moment of truth, the moment their betrayal would come to fruition. But the savannah, it seemed, had other plans. A young lioness, loyal to the alpha and oblivious to the pact, stumbled upon the ambush. Her startled roar shattered the stillness of the evening, alerting the alpha to the danger. The tiger, his cover blown, attacked, but the element of surprise was lost. The ensuing battle was swift and brutal, a whirlwind of claws and teeth. The savannah echoed with the sounds of the fight, the air thick with the smell of blood and fear. The alpha male, though weakened, fought with the fury of a cornered lion, defending his pride from the traitor and the outsider. The tiger, outnumbered and wounded, realized the futility of the situation. He had been betrayed by his supposed allies, lured into a trap that was meant to secure their position, not his. With a roar of frustration, he disengaged from the fight and disappeared into the gathering darkness, leaving behind a scene of chaos and betrayal. The lionesses who had orchestrated the betrayal, their plan in ruins, tried to blend back into the pride, to feign innocence. But the scent of betrayal clung to them, and the alpha male, his eyes cold with fury, saw through their charade. The savannah, vast and ancient, stretches endlessly beneath a relentless sun. It is a place of beauty and danger, where every creature is tested by the elements and by each other. Here the rules are simple but absolute. The weak are left behind, and betrayal is never forgotten. In this unforgiving land, survival is not a right, but a privilege earned each day through strength, cunning and loyalty. The savannah does not tolerate weakness, nor does it forgive betrayal. Every sunrise brings new challenges, and every sunset marks the end of another day in the struggle for existence. The lionesses who had dared to challenge the natural order, who had risked everything for a chance at power or freedom, found themselves cast out. Their rebellion was met with swift and merciless punishment. Driven away from the pride, they wandered the open plains, their fate sealed by the very laws they had tried to defy. Alone, they faced the dangers of the wild, starvation predators, and the merciless sun. The bonds that once held them together were shattered, replaced by the cold reality of exile. In the savannah there is little room for second chances. The alpha male, though battered and bearing fresh wounds from the conflict, stood his ground. His body ached, but his spirit remained unbroken. He had defended his territory and his authority, reaffirming his dominance over the pride. Each scar was a mark of survival, a testament to his strength and resolve. In the eyes of the pride, he was once again the undisputed leader, his position secured by both courage and necessity. The cost of leadership in the savannah is high, and only the strongest endure. Far from the pride, the tiger found himself alone once more. He licked his wounds, both physical and emotional, the pain of betrayal lingering long after the battle had ended. The solitude pressed in on him, a constant reminder of what he had lost. Each scar told a story, not just of violence but of trust broken and alliances shattered. In the silence of the tall grass, he reflected on the choices that had led him here, and the harsh lessons the savannah had taught him. He had learned a harsh lesson about trust and survival, a lesson etched in the scars of betrayal. In the wild, trust is a rare and precious thing, easily broken and seldom repaired. The tiger's eyes, once filled with hope, now held a wary caution. He understood now that survival often meant standing alone, relying only on oneself. The savannah had changed him, shaping him into a creature both fierce and wary, forever marked by the choices of the past. As night fell, he moved through the darkness, a silent shadow among the tall grasses. He would hunt alone, his presence barely more than a whisper in the vast expanse. The stars above offered little comfort, and the wind carried only the echoes of his solitary roar. Forever an outsider, he had become a legend in his own right, a creature shaped by hardship, his story written in the dust and darkness of the savannah. His roar, once a call to others, was now a lonely echo, a reminder of all that had been lost. The drought continued, its grip tightening with each passing day. The land itself seemed to watch, a silent spectator to the drama that unfolded beneath its unforgiving gaze. Waterholes dried up, and the air shimmered with heat. Every creature, from the smallest insect to the mightiest predator, felt the weight of scarcity. In these harsh times, survival became even more precarious, a game of instinct, loyalty, and power, where the line between predator and prey, ally and enemy, was often blurred by the desperate will to survive. The savannah demanded everything, and gave nothing freely. The law of the savannah had been upheld, written in the blood and dust of 1,000 fallen. Each bone scattered across the earth told a story of struggle and sacrifice, a testament to the brutal yet delicate balance of nature. Here every life is part of a greater cycle, predator and prey, victor and vanquished, all bound by the same unyielding rules. In the end, the savannah remembers everything, and its law is absolute.